Welcome back to The Wandering Screen. I'm Matt Koss, and today I'm looking at Daniel Day-Lewis's supposed comeback in Anemone. Let's get into it. Anemone marks the feature directorial debut of Ronan Day-Lewis, and yes, that Day-Lewis family name is exactly what you think it is. Ronan co-wrote the film with his father, Daniel Day-Lewis, the three-time Oscar-winning actor who swore he was done with acting after Phantom Thread back in 2017. So, when I heard he was making his comeback and doing it in his son's debut feature, I was intrigued and also quite skeptical. And you know what, I'm not here to throw shade for the sake of it, but after watching Anemone, I couldn't help feeling disappointed. This is Daniel Day-Lewis's big return, and yet the film surrounding him feels grim and over-stylized and overloaded with empty symbolism that should have stayed on the cutting room floor. The film follows Ray, Daniel Day-Lewis, a hermit living in isolation deep in the woods. His estranged brother, Jem, Sean Bean, suddenly shows up one day asking for help. Ray's been hiding from a dark past, and Jem arrives with a letter from Nessa, Samantha Morden, asking Ray to return to the city to help with their troubled son, Brian, Samuel Bottomley, who's just beaten someone nearly to death and is facing arrest. The premise has weight. It's got guilt and forgiveness and fractured family ties, and when Anemone stays focused on Ray and Jem, it's genuinely compelling. Daniel Day-Lewis gives a haunting, magnetic performance, as you'd expect. Every monologue he delivers feels like a masterclass in restraint and pain. Their scenes together carry the film, and honestly, they should have been the entire movie. Where Anemone stumbles is in its structure and tone. Every time Ronan cuts away from the brothers to Nessa and her son, we're just retreading information we already know. It's redundant and it breaks the emotional rhythm. There's a fascinating character study buried here, but it's constantly interrupted by an unnecessary subplot and stylistic indulgence. Visually, Ronan Day-Lewis has an eye for evocative imagery, but he's trying too hard to make every frame poetic. There are several long one-shots, like Ray and Jem walking past a carnival and Ray running along a grey shoreline, that look fine but feel hollow. They don't move the story forward or deepen our understanding of these men. They're just tone pieces, and after a while, they feel overly indulgent and superfluous to the simplicity of the setting and the story. The camera work also pulls focus when it shouldn't. You can feel the car tracking Daniel Day-Lewis as he runs, the motorbike trailing Jem as he journeys to Ray's cabin. It breaks the illusion. And that sort of sums up the whole movie. So concerned with the artistry that it forgets to let the emotion breathe. Ben Fordsman's cinematography is striking in moments, but the editing undercuts its power. There's a particularly strong sequence where Ray delivers a monologue about confronting his abuser years earlier, and the first take is framed beautifully, front on, capturing this bruised man who has barely uttered a word until now, but then we cut to awkward close-ups and then back out again, as if the film doesn't trust its own stillness. And the score by Bobby Kralik of Midsummer fame is another example of doing too much in a film that requires a lighter touch. It's a gorgeous composition on its own, but tonally, it's miles away from the world we're watching. There's one moment where Ray's sleeping in silence and the score suddenly swells into a blaring orchestral cue as a vision of Nessa appears at his bedside, and it's totally mismatched. At 2 hours long, Anemone really needed a tighter edit. 90 minutes focusing purely on Ray and Jem would have made for a devastatingly intimate drama. Instead, it's padded with symbolism that never pays off and visuals that drown out the heart of the story. And Daniel Day-Lewis, as I said, is unsurprisingly fantastic. He's mesmerizing and is the kind of presence that makes you want to be his son so you can get your own financing to make your own film. You also realize how much we've missed him, but the film around him is not up to his standard. For a debut, Ronan Day-Lewis shows ambition and style, but he hasn't quite found control or purpose yet. Look, it's always exciting when a new filmmaker takes big swings, especially with a last name like Day-Lewis, but Anemone ends up feeling like an imitation of greatness rather than the real thing. I wouldn't write Ronan off yet, but this one, it's not a strong debut. So that's my take on Anemone, Daniel Day-Lewis's big return that left me cold. Did it work better for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you don't miss what's next on The Wandering Screen.